Welcome to this one-day match between
Australia and England
at Melbourne. Joining me in the commentary box for this match is Jim Maxwell.
Thanks very much, Richie.
The weather's delightful here today, sunny and hot, just perfect conditions for cricket. So the outcome is that Ponting has won the toss and chosen to bat first. It'll be interesting to see if that was the right decision as the game progresses.
Players are just emerging from the changing rooms and the crowd is giving them a decent reception. So let's take a look at the teams. Here's the team for Australia: Gilchrist, Hayden, Ponting, Martin, Kadich, Clark, Simons, Hogg, Lee, Gillespie and McGrath. And here's the lineup for England: Strauss, Trescothick, Vaughan, Peterson, Solanke, Flintoff, Jones, Giles, Goff, Harmison and Anderson. Goff to bowl the first ball of the day. Goff has got him.
That early wicket will begin to put some serious pressure on.
Goff gets his first wicket. So then, that's the end of Gilchrist.
The first ball done. All that way just for one ball.
This was how the innings ended for
Gilchrist. Ponting
is the new batsman for Australia.
Ponting facing.
At this level of cricket, you really can't afford to drop your catches.
Goff to bowl to Ponting. Stopped by Anderson.
Richie, you were a successful Australian captain. What's your advice to potential captains?
A good captain is one who's 2 overs ahead of the play. He also has the common sense to know that he might as well take the credit for what goes right, because no one else will take the blame for anything that goes wrong. That's over the rope, 6 runs off. There's the first runs of the day for Australia.
Well, he really hit that a long way. Exciting stuff.
We can have a look at that again.
Goff to Ponting.
Goff is coming around the wicket. Vaughan is after that one. That came off the pads. Umpire's signalling that as leg by. Goff the bowl to Hayden. Stopped in the covers. 7 runs came from that over by Goff.
Australia will be looking to blast away.
Ponting is now facing.
Really good shot there. Nicely timed and picked the gap perfectly.
Let's take a look at that in slow motion. Parmesan is switching to round the wicket. It's straight at Anderson. Ponting facing. Anderson chasing that one. That's in the stands. 6 runs.
He really is very good straight down the ground.
Let's see the action replay of that. Parmesan to Ponting. Parmesan has got him.
What a great sight for a bowler. Stumps flying in all directions.
Parmesan gets his first wicket. Ponting eventually goes for 16. This was how the wicket fell. The next batsman in is right-handed Martin. Parmesan to bowl to Martin. It's straight to a fielder. Martin facing. Peterson is in for shoot. 6. That was sheer power.
He absolutely loves to play that shot. It's a big run score.
We can have a look at that again. Goff to begin a new over. Goff is going to try over the wicket. One run to Hayden. Australia are 2 for 24. Goff continues. Stopped by Peterson. Goff at the start of his run-up. Goff gets his second wicket. Australia 3 down now for 24. This was the end of the innings for Martin. Tadic comes in at number 4. Goff continues. Hit straight to a fielder. Goff to Kadich. Kadich waiting at the striker's end. Peterson is after it, pushed into the gap. 4 runs to Kadich. Picked up very early by Kadich.
For all the kids watching out there, that is a perfect example of how to play the shot.
Let's see the action replay of that. Change in the bowling for England. Hayden is now on strike. Harmison is going to try over the wicket. That's superb bowling from Harmison. Harmison to Hayden. Over the rope, 6 runs off Harmison. Hayden absolutely smashed that for 6.
That was a super shot. I really didn't think it was too bad a ball.
Let's take a look at that in slow motion. Harmison continues. There it goes, right out of the ground.
His hooking is exciting. It may go in the air, but he hits it with such power.
We can have a look at that again. Hayden facing. Over the rope, 6 runs off Harmison.
His straight driving is perfect at times.
Let's take a look at that in slow motion. Harmison to bowl to Hayden. Cleared away with comfort. Fielded by the man out long on. Hayden has now moved into the 20s. Harmison continues. He's worked that into the gap. just one there. That over cost 20 runs.
That was an expensive over for England.
These two have taken their partnership to 25. And we have a change of bowling. Kadich waiting at the striker's end.
He never really looked comfortable with that catch, so it was no surprise when it went to ground.
Kadich facing. Anderson is coming around the wicket. Stopped by Vaughan. Anderson to Kadich. Got hold of that one, 4 runs. The 50 is up for Australia.
That is a classic cover drive. Foot to the pitch of the ball and it's disappeared.
Let's see the action replay of that. Kadich waiting at the striker's end. Played into the gap. Goff is not going to reach that. That was a brilliant hook shot.
What a good hook shot. Got on top of it, kept it down and beat the fielder too.
We can have a look at that again. Anderson to bowl to Kadich. Out there in the deep. And more for Kadich. Hayden waiting at the striker's end. Oh, that's gone a long way. That nearly joined us up here in the commentary box.
He absolutely loves to play that shot. It's a big run score for him.
Let's take a look at that in slow motion. There's a change in the bowling for England. Flintoff to Kadich. Peterson is after it. That's pierced the leg side field. Great shot by Kadich. That takes Kadich to 18.
There's a perfect example of how to play that shot. He deserved 4 runs for it.
See the action replay of that. Kadich facing. Flintoff is switching to round the wicket. right out of the ground.
He's always looking for that shot. It's a really strong point for him.
Let's see the action replay of that.
Flintoff, the ball to Kadic.
That takes the partnership between these two batsmen past 50. They've batted really well. Australia move on to 74.
Flintoff to Hayden.
Stroke through the covers. 3 for 75.
Kadic.
Waiting at the striker's end. That's found the gap in the field. Fielded on the boundary by Goff. Just one run. Australia have taken their total on to 3 for 76.
Flintoff, the ball to Hayden.
That over helped the run rate somewhat. This has been a vital partnership for Australia. Anderson to begin a new over. That's over the rope. 6 runs off Anderson. He smashed that a long way.
What an effortless shot. Brilliant.
Let's take a look at that in slow motion. Anderson continues. That's racing away to the cover boundary. Picked up very early by Kadic.
Great shot. That seemed a rocket to them.
We can have a look at that again. Kadic facing.
That one will have ruffled his feathers.
Anderson continues. Really given that a whack. 6 runs. These two players have now put on 68.
Well, he just picked that right off his nose and smashed it over the boundary. Thrilling to watch.
Let's take a look at that in slow motion.
Anderson, the ball to Kadic.
Safely taken by Solanke.
For those of you watching at home, that's a good example of how to take a catch.
That is an excellent catch.
The batsman will be kicking himself over that. It wasn't a great shot, and he looked to be in good form.
Anderson gets his first wicket. Kadic makes his way back to the dressing room.
He looked in good form out there. He'll be disappointed that he didn't get a bigger score.
This was how the wicket fell. Next batsman in is right-handed Clark. Clark waiting at the striker's end. Anderson is coming around the wicket. Anderson has got him.
He seemed to completely misjudge the delivery and ended up playing all around.
So then, that's the end of Clark.
Well, he hasn't troubled the scorers with that innings.
This was the end of the innings for Clark. Hayden facing. Stopped by Harmison. Flintoff to Hayden. Wide ball signalled by the umpire. Flintoff continues. Hayden facing. The sweeper picks up. Hayden moves on to 28. Flintoff continues. That's out.
He was bowled all over the place.
Flintoff gets his first wicket. That's a duck for Simons.
Out first ball. He'll remember that for a long while.
This was how the wicket fell. The new batsman is left-handed Hogg. Hogg waiting at the striker's end. That's over the rope. 6 runs off Flintoff. That moves the score into 3 figures for Australia.
He absolutely loves to play that shot. It's a big run score for him.
Let's see the action replay of that. Flintoff to Hogg. That's a good shot. That brings up the 100 for Australia.
Great shot. That seemed to rocket to the boundary.
We can have a look at that again. England are making a change in bowling. Hayden face an over of spin. hit straight to a fielder. There are only 4 wickets left now. Hayden facing. Spot on, line and length. That has to be close. It was very tight, so the umpire's calling for the TV replay. There's the signal, he's safe. That's cleared the rope. 6 runs. That brings up the 100 for Australia.
Overpitch to him, and you can guarantee it'll get punished.
Let's take a look at that in slow motion. John.
Giles to Hayden. Giles gets his first wicket. Hayden has gone for 34.
His captain won't be happy with him getting himself out like that.
This was how the innings ended for
Hayden.
Lee is the next man in. Lee waiting at the striker's end. That is an excellent shot by Lee. Super shot by Lee.
A really good shot, nicely timed and picked the gap perfect.
Let's see the action replay of that. Giles, the ball to Lee. Giles has got him.
Can't afford to miss the straight. It's comprehensively bowled.
Flintoff gets his first wicket. Australia 8 down now for 114.
He's not in the team for his batting.
This was the end of the innings for Lee. Here comes the first change in bowling. Hogg waiting at the striker's end. That was a super piece of keeping by Jones. That must be close. It looks like the third umpire is being called on this one. That's the red light, he's out. It's a sharp stumping by the wicket-keeper.
Good keeping. He only had a split second to whip the bails off.
Australia, 9 down now for 115.
Well, he certainly wasn't out in the middle for very long.
That's found the gap in the field brilliantly.
That was a lazy shot. He'll regret that when he sees the replay.
Safely taken by Giles.
For those of you watching at home, that's a good example of how to take a catch. Australia have bowled themselves into a strong position. That was a really good performance out there.
Peterson gets his second wicket.
He spun the ball from the start and troubled each of the batsmen.
England are about to start their first innings. That's a great shot. That's the first boundary of the innings for England.
Great shot. That seemed to rocket to the boundary.
We can have a look at that again. Strauss facing. McGrath had the batsman in trouble with that one. McGrath to Strauss. And that's out. Caught by Ponting.
Needed an early wicket and they got it.
McGrath gets his first wicket. This was how the wicket fell. The next man in is Vaughan. Vaughan waiting at the striker's end. Oh, that's wonderful bowling from McGrath. Vaughan facing. Those are the first runs for Vaughan. McGrath to Trescothick. Five runs came from that over for England. The required Vaughan is now facing. Not going to reach that. He struck that straight down the ground.
Really laid into that delivery. 4 runs all the way.
Let's see the action replay of that. Gillespie, the bowl to Vaughan. Was a no ball by Gillespie. There's the umpire signal, no ball. Vaughan waiting at the striker's end. Kalic is after that one, steered expertly into the gap. That's out of the ground.
Bowler doesn't look too happy about it. Might be a little bit more on the next one.
Take a look at that in slow motion. Gillespie to Vaughan. So they need 100 to win from 51 balls. Vaughan facing. There it goes. He's not a good judge of a run, is he? Vaughan takes his score to 13. Vaughan waiting at the striker's end. What a superb catch that is.
That was a lazy shot. He'll regret that when he sees the replay.
Gillespie gets his first wicket. This was the end of the innings for Vaughan. Peterson comes in at number 3. Gillespie, the ball to Peterson. That's over the rope. 6 runs off Gillespie. Peterson absolutely smashed that for 6.
What an effortless shot. Brilliant.
Let's take a look at that in slow motion. McGrath to begin a new over.
Well, that one will wake him up a bit.
McGrath continues. That's a fantastic shot. That was a mighty hit.
He's always looking for that shot. It's a really strong point for him.
We can have a look at that again. McGrath continues. Lee is after it, swept away. That's gone a long way. McGrath don't like that at all.
He's a very good sweeper and uses it to great effect.
Let's see the action replay of that. Trescothick facing. Over the rope, 6 runs off McGrath.
The straight drive is his favourite shot, and it shows.
We can have a look at that again. McGrath, the ball to Trescothick. That's found the gap in the field. That's over the rope. 6 runs off McGrath. Trescothick has moved into the 20s and is starting to look far more relaxed.
His sweeping is quite brilliant at times. Marvellous.
Take a look at that in slow motion. McGrath to Trescothick. These will be leg byes. 2 bowlers have now been used by Ponting.
That was an expensive over for Australia.
Partnership between these two is now worth 32. Gillespie continues.
That one will have ruffled his feathers. Ouch, that must have hurt.
These runs will be signalled as leg byes. Umpires signalling that as leg byes. Peterson facing.
Out. Oh! He didn't even get near that
Gillespie gets his second. Peterson goes for only 6. This was how the wicket fell. The next batsman in is right-handed Solanke. Gillespie to Solanke. England require 66 to win. Solanke waiting at the striker's end. The 50 is up for England, so that Gillespie continues. There it goes. Solanke waiting at the striker's end. That's been given as a wide.
There are stricter rules on wides in one-day cricket, so you need to be careful not to drift down the leg side.
Gillespie, the ball to Solanke. That's a great shot. The 50 is up for England.
Great shot. That seemed a rocket to the boundary.
Let's see the action replay of that. Trescothick to face an over of spin. That's well bowled by Clark. 59 runs required. Clark to bowl to Trescothick. Solanke facing. Clark gets his first wicket. This was how the innings ended for Solanke. Flintoff comes in at number 5. Clark to Flintoff. He's worked that into the gap. Simons got it long on. It's just one there. Trescothick waiting at the striker's end. Gillespie is after it. Clark to Flintoff. An easy single there to Flintoff. 5 overs. Flintoff is now on strike. Clark is chasing that one. Shot. Hogg is not impressed.
It's tough for the bowlers on a pitch like this, as there really is no margin for error. We can have a look at that again.
Flintoff facing. Hogg gets his first wicket. Let's take a look at that in slow motion. Jones is the new batsman for England. Hogg, the ball to Jones. That's forced away through the offside. That's the first runs of the day for Jones. Hogg, the ball to Trescothick. That came off the pads. Umpires signalling that as leg byes. Jones waiting at the striker's end. Hogg, the batsman in trouble with that one. That has to be close. We need a TV replay to decide this one. He's got the green light. He's safe. 6 runs came from that over by Hogg. The required run rate is around 12 and over. Clark continues. Swept away. Out, he's caught him.
That was a loose shot. He'll be kicking himself about that one.
Clark gets his second wicket. Trescothick scored 37 runs from 0 balls.
He'll be kicking himself about that dismissal. He really didn't play that ball. But
This was the end of the innings for Trescothick. The next batsman is Giles. Giles facing. Play it away with comfort. Fielded by the man at long on. Those are the first runs for Giles. Clark continues. A single to Jones. Clark to Giles. Big shout for that one. Let's see the action replay of that. Clark to Giles. That's not through, he's out.
he seemed to completely misjudge the delivery and ended up playing all around.
Clark gets his third wicket. This was how the wicket fell. Goff is the new batsman. Clark continues. It's gone way into the stand. 6 runs. Probably won't like that one a little bit.
He really is very good straight down the ground.
We can have a look at that again. Hogg to begin a new over. He's worked that into the gap. Just 1 run. Goff waiting at the striker's end. Might be out. It is.
You can't afford to hesitate if it's a tight run. That slight indecision proved expensive.
This was how the innings ended for
Jones. Harmison.
Who's the next batsman in?
Hogg.
Continues.
There it goes. Tadic.
Not it long on. That's the first runs of the day for
Harmison.
Goff facing.
Hogg.
The bowl to Goff. Well bowled.
Hogg.
The bowl to Goff. Oh, that's close. Let's take a look at that in slow motion.
Harmison.
Waiting at the striker's end. These will be leg byes. Umpires signalling that as leg bye. Goff waiting at the striker's end.
There it goes.
Umpire signalling for the third umpire for this one. He's got the green light. He's safe. That's off the batsman's pads. Umpires signalling that as leg bye.
Simons to Harmison.
And that's out. Caught by Hogg.
That was an important catch. He did very well to hang on.
Simons.
This was how the wicket fell. Next bit. Anderson facing.
That's poor cricket. He took his eye off the ball.
So they need 35 to win from 7 balls. Anderson waiting at the striker's end. Four runs were picked up from that over by Anderson. Lee, the bowl to Goff. Runs here. That's a big hit. It'll go all the way.
He's always looking for that shot. It's a really strong point for him.
Let's see the action replay of that. Lee at the start of his run-up. Lee has got him.
That one went right through it. It was as if he completely misjudged the delivery.
Australia have won.
So, to sum up then,
Australia win by 28 runs.
thanks for joining us for today's play. We very much look forward to your company at the next match.